Hello, conscious fashion friend. Welcome to today's session. We are working our way through the mini roadmap. It's got such a long name. I should have made it simpler, but we're working through the mini playbook for the design and development for conscious fashion design. And if you're joining me today, hopefully you've watched previous sessions where each week we're going through one step of the process. So we are now entering the merchandising and range planning step. And hopefully you have your workbook and working through that either by hand, paper printout, or digitally, if that's what you prefer. I don't have mine with me. I usually hold it up and show you where I'm at today. But I am traveling again. The last few sessions, I came to you from Hawaii, where we were visiting family, and today I'm in San Francisco visiting some very good old friends from New York. So we're having a little bit of a reunion, and I'm in this beautiful apartment in San Francisco. And so welcome, and thank you for watching today. And I'm curious to hear from you how things are going. If you are working through the steps, I would love to see where you're at. You can message me. You can, through this platform, you can do a screenshot or a photo, or if it's digitally, screenshot. Send me what you've got so far. I would love to see the progress in your workbook. And by working through all those pages in this flow of the process, it kind of each session builds upon the previous session. So at the end, you'll have a full plan. If you're working on your own designs, or if you work for a company and are still participating and going through this process, it will still benefit you, and you'll keep building on the next step and the next phase, and that can help guide you in your work with a company. If you are working with a team, hopefully you'll gain some tips and tricks and pointers and tools that you can apply to the work you are hired to do. If you're a small independent designer, you have a little bit more flexibility, but still going through this process, it will, I guess, kind of guide you. What I'm really going through is the entire process from, I worked both corporately and independently, and have my own business, my own collection. I had a swimwear collection for about 4 years. So through all of the experience on a corporate level and on an independent and entrepreneur level, these are the steps that I recommend and that I've found to be the most useful. And I know this is a mini course, so we're not deep diving into all of those aspects. For example, the last few sessions were on creative direction and building product from concept to consumer. Obviously, we couldn't go through that entire process because that in itself is many, many steps. Sketching, picking colors, creative direction, pattern. There's all the pattern making. We'll get into that with the product development, but there's many steps that preceded this, but they also work together. So today's session, we're talking about merchandising and range planning, and I would like to share with you the screen. So within the platform, on this section of the lesson are some tools. There's maybe 3, 4, 5 pages in there that you can download or click on and save and use them. Or if you've printed them out, you have them as worksheets. But so what I would like to do is share with you. First of all, you have 2 worksheets. And actually, that's not the one I want to show you first. I would like to show you, so there's 2 blank worksheets. Okay, I'm going to try it this way. Oh gosh. So this is the first one, plan your product range. Hold on, sorry. Okay, yes, that is the right one. So this is your first homework, is to plan your first product range. List 3 to 5 products that you want to use to launch your collection. And then think about, are those going to be core styles? Are they seasonal, or are they experimental? And there's space for all of those. But if you're just starting out and you're launching a brand new line, I highly recommend starting with just core pieces and get those going, and then you can build upon those. There's some good examples of companies, one of them called Wool and, like the sign of and. They're based out of Portland. They launched with one dress. And I didn't know that about them until I did a blog post about them just a week ago, and realized like they came up with one dress and they launched with that. And now they've got a range of items, and they're have been really successful in doing it that way. So don't fear if you're an aspiring designer, you want to start your own line, the expense and the testing of the waters, testing the market of what you're going after. You know, a great way to start is with just a couple of pieces. Look at your budget, consider the development time, who's going to make it for you. Think about all those things in advance so that you know what you're going to have to invest in, both time and money. If you can only start with 2 pieces, 3 pieces, you still have plenty of opportunity to market and sell those without thinking you need this whole collection. And then thinking ahead, you know, maybe your aspiration is to launch with 2, and then in a year or 2, add 1 more, add 2 more based on the feedback you're getting, and just slowly build. It takes time, it takes patience, but it's much more effective and safer, if you will, rather than launching with a whole collection of 10 pieces. And, you know, and that's also possible. If you have the means and the time and the budget to do that, by all means, if that's what you want to do. But really think about having some core items. Another example that I ran across, you know, the last couple of years was Karl Lagerfeld. You know, obviously, you know, was doing Chanel, and but I was in, I think it was Macy's, and there was a Karl Lagerfeld line that they had like in the dress department, but it was, you know, $80, $100, $120. So he did like a lower, you know, obviously that was a licensing deal, and they had a certain price range. But if you're a higher higher cost brand, a luxury brand, you still may want to consider having some core items. Maybe it's a signature t-shirt, maybe it's a signature one dress. Excuse the sirens. I'm in the city. So consider, if you have, say you're doing couture evening dresses, maybe you take that concept and come up with a entry-level price. It could be with you're still the same branding, but maybe it's a slightly different name for that collection, so that you can have good, like, core sellers. That's a good way to maybe earn some money and earn some clientele that can afford those core items. So just consider all of those things. So that's the first worksheet for you to fill out. The second one, which is here, what I was just kind of mentioning, is a good, better, best price point strategy. Now, I'm not saying you need a collection of good, a collection of better, and a collection of best. That would be a lot. But maybe you have 3 items and you do 1 in each. Price them differently to test the market, find your consumer, find what's resonating. You know, if they're a big fan, become a big fan, they might buy the entry-level good product, and they might buy the best because they know you and they love you, and they want like more of an everyday item, and then maybe a higher end, more luxury piece, you know, from your brand. So think about a good, better, best strategy. And again, if you're just starting out and you're just doing 1 item or 2 items, you probably won't have these different price points quite yet, but start thinking long-term and adding on, how would you like to structure that? And can you use that as a business strategy to keep financially supporting the brand and your work? Describe what makes each tier unique. You know, maybe you have that one dress, but you do it in 3 different fabrics. And again, a word of caution, like, you're going to be, if you're importing, you're looking at 3 different fabrics with minimums and all of that. I really support using small makers and ethical makers, and maybe smaller suppliers that don't have the minimums. If you have access and you can find a partner to work with, maybe a supplier, you could do one dress in 3 different prices. One is 100% organic cotton. The second one is maybe some sort of like some sustainable type of stretch jersey, maybe with a texture or a jacquard or a print. And then your best product could be the exact same dress in with like a fancier neckline embellishment or adding pockets or something like that. And of course, you're going to have to fit those separately because of different fabrics. So that will require, again, more time and more cost because you're doing multiple fittings. Even though it's the same dress and it might be the same pattern, if you're using different materials, they're going to fit differently. So all of these things are good to think about. So consider that, give it some thought. You can certainly have aspirations. And again, if you're starting with one, don't worry about different price points, just start with your one. But this is good planning. This is a good way to visualize what you want to see in your brand in the future. Or if you are working corporately, another example is a lot of the work that I did was, in swim and bodywear. So we would have entry level, good price point for, say, a basic swim bra or sport bra. And then your better, it maybe has rings and sliders, more construction, maybe some technical features. And then your best would be top of the line, all the bells and whistles, all the fancy, compression fabric or wherever it may be. So even when I was working corporately, this was a business strategy and working with the merchandiser and with the designers to map out what are those price points and what does that product look like. So just think about those things. And here is an example I wanted to share with you. So this is from a brand I had worked with. It was an athletic brand, and active performance was the good. And that's where the bulk of the business would come. That's where, if you are selling to, working at a corporate level, this might be what you put into Target or a department store or a sporting goods store. This is where the bulk of the product is. So what we did is broke down this triangle, and this is the most volume, hence the widest part of the triangle. And the technology, the features were fade resistant. It had stretch and flat seams to reduce chafing. So pretty basic. You could call it those technical features. That works for a lot of people. No problem to sell those over and over again. It's kind of that's your core item. Then you go to the advanced, which would be your mid price or your better category, and we added some more things in. So this had bra cups, so that was our next price level up. And then the premium, we added even more. So we added in power mesh for more interior support, power core compression, so it fit a little bit differently. This was the top of the line price point, so this was the best category. So that's an example of how you could think about it too, is maybe just adding technical features to a t-shirt. One is the basic is 100% organic cotton, but the top one is some recycled something with more features, wicking or quick dry or whatever it may be. And then in this section of the lesson plan will be a blank visual line plan just like this. So this is an example. Obviously it's filled out. And so this is one I did for a men's group, and this is super helpful. So this is where the merchandising comes in, because you're planning your product, you're planning your price points, you're planning how many SKUs are going into each of those. If you are doing one dress or two dresses, you still have to think about your size range and your color assortment. Is it one color? Is it two color? So this is where the merchandising comes in. And having a visual line plan is an essential tool for planning. It's good for planning. It's also good for, the sales team or the rest of the team to see what you are working on. And then if you're working with a team, people can start chiming in like, okay, so for example, here, I put in the style information. So this is a 7-inch volley. Then we have a 9-inch volley. Then we have a 9-inch e-board and an 11-inch e-board and a board short. So these were the different types of shorts that we needed for this assortment. So obviously this is black and white. So I'm not at this, on this page at least, I am not planning color assortment. There is fabric. So anyway, let me back up and go down this list here. So you have your price point, and it's marked here, core, mid, mid. These are all mid, but you might have your core, your good, your better, and best. Fabric information can go in here, and then what the features are. And you can see on the left here is more basic features. Then you get into the board short. It's got a little more details to it, some, you know, SPF 50, it's got lace ups, pockets, all those things. So you have this template and you can start filling this in. This will help you plan. And if you're sharing it with someone, like I said, on your team, they can start seeing, and this normally would come from the merchandiser. So if you are working with a merchandiser, they have most likely given you the number of SKUs that you need for that next delivery and how to divvy those up. And a lot of that is based on sales. Here is an example of a line plan further along. So now we're getting into colors, you know, how many colors, these are all the styles. You've got your color information down here at the bottom. These guys are new. So these are going to be new colorways. So these could be also your carryover. So if you've done a collection before and you have your one style already done and now you're working on the next drop, the next season, or expanding that one item, you can put your core carryover in here. What colors does it come in? And then how many new? Are you going to do 2 new colors, 1 new color, 3 new colors, 1 solid, 1 print? And these are all the styles within that collection. And so you can see here where they've left space for new colorways and possibly a print. So that's why those are still blank. Here is an example. I wanted to show you, okay, I don't need that one. I hope you can see my screen, not just me talking, because, okay, so here is a screen, one more shot to share with you. This was from a bag collection. Obviously it's bags. They broke down the visual line plan into good, better, best. So you could very clearly see, and you can use any of these examples and tools as best fits for you and what you're working on. So they do have price points in here, and getting your pricing is also another one of the steps you'll go through, and you're going to get that through working with your factory, your maker, your planner. Sometimes the merchandiser is responsible for telling you, okay, for the good, we're going to do a $35 price. So you have to design into that price point, making sure that your margins are met and that you're using appropriate construction and materials so that you meet that price point. Then your better, they've got 3 price points within this one bag. So it's 40, 45, and 50. They're different styles. So the mini one, and then a hip pack for better, and a modular hip pack that probably just has more bells and whistles on it. And then the best we have over here, which is, again, higher price points. So they've put more into it. And again, if you're not in a position yet to be doing this many styles, don't worry about it. Just focus on the 1 or 2 that you have, but start to think like this, because the goal to build your business is to expand your product range. I know we're all very cautious of overconsumption and making more timeless styles these days, and that's what I encourage the most. But I also want you to succeed in your business. So a part of the business model would be good, better, best strategy, and you know, just a way for you to expand or offer a little bit newness to your customer without having to drop a whole new collection. In the past, we would do, you know, 40 styles per collection, or somebody like Zara or H&M, they're probably doing 200, probably more per drop. We're obviously not doing that. So thinking long-term, and your good product, again, like I said, could be your carryover. You repeat it season after season. It's your staple. You don't have to redesign it. You don't have to refit it unless you have a complaint or a fabric change, something like that. But that can be your staple item. There's been plenty of companies that have made a successful business on, you know, a basic t-shirt or, you know, whatever their product is. So that, I believe, is the last one that I have to show you for today. So I want you to Can you see how wonky my screen was? I think I have a computer virus bug. So share with me your thoughts, your comments, your questions. I would love to see a line plan. One thing I wanted to mention, obviously, is that those sketches were already done because you need the sketches to fill in. If you're not working in Illustrator, you don't have the drawing skills, Illustrator skills, you can hand draw, even if you put it on a sticky note and put it in that spot within the template so you can still visually see. Visuals just help so much. You hang it up on your wall. You're thinking about it over and over again as you design. If you do it with sticky notes, like a quick pencil sketch and fill that in, and then you find in your development and your creative time that you found a sleeve that's better for zero waste or something like that. You adjust it, give yourself the time to think and play around those. So don't worry about the Illustrator AI sketch, the text sketch at this point. You will need one down the line when you start getting into tech packs. There's all the AI options in Clo 3, and you might be doing something, 3D on an avatar. But you will need some sort of visual technical drawing or sketch within your plan eventually, because those sketches, even if it is a 3D, that's what you end up using in your catalog down the road, or maybe you're even using it on your website. You can fill it in with your different colors if you have prints, if you have a variety of looks within that one. You still want to show all those, and those can become your catalog. They become a sales tool for presentations and all of that. So we will get to that at a later date. We'll be talking about the text sketches, so don't worry about that. Do it by hand. You don't have to be a trained fashion illustrator or artist by any means. Okay, so I would love to hear from you, hear how it's going and how you're making progress through all of your homework. So that is your homework for next week. Get those things done, and I'd love to hear how you're doing. And I will catch you on the next one. Reach out, let me know how it's going. Ask questions, please. Join in, and we can chat live when needed. And so I wish you the best. Have a wonderful week, and reach out. Let me know how things are going for you. And I will see you next week. Bye, friends. Take care.